What should I do with my life? She asked me with her voice low, but a sense of urgency. Just one question, but it hit me so hard. And let me ask you, have you ever asked yourself the same question? What path should you take? And are you on that path right now? Or are you just following someone else's script? Today, let's dive into one of life's biggest questions. So let's rewind back in time to that very moment when she asked me that question. So picture this. I was sitting on the shore of Lake Atitlán in Guatemala. Just mystical place. The air was super still, morning mist clinging to the edges of the deep water. And across the lake, you have the volcano Atitlán just kind of looming over me and the reflection in the water. And it was there on that quiet shore that Elsa, she was a fellow traveler from Sweden, she sat down next to me and she'd been wrestling with something big, this choice that felt like impossible to her. She had 1 hour before she'd leave. And in that hour, she asked me one of the deepest questions a person ever asked me: what should I do with my life? And Elsa and I talked, felt like both an instant and like a lifetime. We discussed her options, the passions, and what her parents expected, like a stable job, stable life back home. But there was something inside of her, this craving to break away, to explore, to find meaning beyond what was prescribed. And I asked her, what did she truly love? Did she have a talent, a passion, or something that made her feel like fully alive, that she could then find a way to express and maybe earn a living? But back then, the options were much more limited. Digital nomadism wasn't really a thing. There was no YouTube to teach you about anything you might want to learn. I know because, I had considered it. I wanted to extend that break before re-entering the system. But most options were like manual work, seasonal jobs, the odd teaching gig. She could go and pick some berries in Australia maybe, or work as a housekeeper, a job that might, pay for travel, but just lacked any real purpose. And for her, that wasn't enough. That was not an alternative. She wanted to do something that also felt fulfilling. And here's the twist. The question she asked isn't just her question. It's all of ours. Because here's the thing. Even when we think we know the answer, society has a way of pulling us onto what Paul Millward calls the default path, or what I call society's blueprint. Now, what is this default path? Paul Millward describes this as the path that everyone expects you to follow. The path that Elsa's parents wanted her to follow. Study hard, get a good job, work your way up. It's safe and comforting, but it can also be so crushing. It's like a checklist that someone else wrote for you, a life measured by promotions and paychecks, and not by how much you can fit in these boxes that society set for you. So, but what if success is not about ticking those boxes at all? What if those are the wrong boxes? And in his book, Bullshit Jobs, David Graeber shares that a significant portion of modern jobs are perceived by the people doing them as pointless, unnecessary. And Graeber defines bullshit jobs as roles that if they were to vanish overnight, they would make no meaningful difference to society or to the economy. And despite being well paid or comfortable, people in these jobs often, feel this profound dissatisfaction. They feel alienated and even get depressed because they feel their work just lacks purpose or value. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Today, more than ever, we have options. Elsa and I couldn't even dream of on that day by the lake. Today, you can launch an e-com business from your bedroom. I know. I opened a streetwear Shopify store in 3 nights and 1 weekend. You can now code without knowing code thanks to platforms like Bubble or Maker. You can share your message or your skills or your passion by becoming a YouTuber. You don't have an excuse is not having the knowledge or the right degree. Now with YouTube, you can pretty much learn anything. It's right there for free if you just decide to take the time. So look, the world is like brimming with opportunities. There's never been as many ways to make money, to take an alternative path. And you can see this. Look at the hordes of digital nomads living in beautiful places around the world, like in Bali or Vietnam. They decided to take their path in their own hands to choose where they want to live, what they want to do. And I'm not saying it's easy, and it's not for everyone. I'm just saying there's just so many options today. I remember watching Elsa, and she was processing our conversation. She looked across the lake, the volcano just there above us. And It was like if in that moment, she understood something fundamental. There wasn't one right answer. There was only the path that she chose to create one step at a time. And that just hit me also then. The same realization. The question isn't really what should I do with my life, but what do I choose to do? Because whatever choice you make, you are the one who has to live it. So what should you do with your life, right? Let's start by asking what brings you energy? What makes you feel alive? And if you don't know yet, don't worry. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. Life isn't like the straight line. It's more like a mountain with twists and cliffs and hidden trails. And if you go straight, well, just keep exploring, as we'll see as we dig into the occupational pillar. The key is to understand that you have options, and the default path is not your only option. And if you're miserable in your current job, just open your mind, look around, start to explore, find a path that feels right for you, not the one that others have set for you. So before we end, I want to leave you with one more question. A question that haunted me long after that morning at Lake Atitlán. There's a big difference between choosing your path and running away from what you don't want to face, avoiding reality. And later, in Antigua, a friend asked me this question: are you really living or just avoiding the next step in life? And that's what we're going to pick up next time. It's the thin line between freedom and escape. So if you ever wondered if you're living true to yourself or just running from reality, well, you don't want to miss that video. So thank you again for being here. And if you're ready to go even deeper, so click the link in the description and join this growing community. And I'm going to send you notifications of new videos. And I'm also share some exclusive tools and materials to help you on this journey. These are resources that I've used to transform my own life. So don't wait. And you know what? Take the first step towards a brighter future. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.